Brown. Martha is a life coach who helps empower women to find love within themselves and to navigate through stressful situations, knowing there are resources to use rather than turning to alcohol to cope. Martha helps women figure out what their relationship with alcohol is and find a new solution to picking up that daily drink. Her clients find a new way of living alcohol-free in order to have less stress, more money, and healthier relationships. Ending the affair with alcohol herself for many years now, Martha continues to use the same successful tools she has learned. So I am honored to introduce Martha Brown. Take it away, Martha.
Thank you so much, Joe, and thank you for everything that you're doing. Alcohol is such a go-to for people to deal with stress or emotions they don't want to deal with and all of these different things. And it's easy to sweep it under the rug because alcohol has become this like societal accepting thing for us to use to cope with all of it, right? With stress. Oh, you lost your job, have a few drinks. Oh, we're celebrating this, have a few drinks. And for many of us, we can get caught up in this loop of might have a few drinks, but then it turns into more drinks and it turns into more drinks. And how does it affect us? And so a little bit about me, if you looked at my life when I was 25 years old and saw it all, like looked at it from the outside, here I am, 25. I had graduated from grad school, had my dream job running an audiology department that I got straight out of college from my internship. I was married, had a great place to live. All of these things from the outside looked great, but something was missing. And I didn't know it at the time because here I am thinking I'm living my great life. I had worked hard to get where I was. And in that, realizing like I had everything that I thought that I had ever wanted, things started to slowly unravel. And for me, it was, it's time for me to be able to celebrate all of this and do this. So I started going out with friends here and there more and drinking here and there more. And then it just, for me, became this vicious cycle of going out every night, drinking more. And then it started slowly coming into affecting everything. It ended up affecting my marriage, my job, my health, all of it, to the point that I eventually ended up into drugs, as well as I lost everything. I lost that marriage. I lost where I was living. I was living out of my car, all within 3 years of when I started all of this. So here I am 28 and I didn't have a pot to piss in. And, when everybody looks at it, they're like, well, how is that possible? Look at this life that you had. It was great. It was this. But, so many people, I know so many of the speakers talked about it yesterday, all this trauma that happened from my past slowly crept up on me because I was always thinking that I had to hold it together, that I had to be the best at everything that I could be. I was the student who had to have all the straight A's. Other people didn't put that pressure on me. I put it on myself because I always thought that I had this thing to prove. And so, after that cycle of always one-upping myself, I had to be better than me. I had to try to be better than others because I had to shine out. I lost it all because I was tired. And I couldn't handle it anymore. And I tried to mask it under the drinking. And I tried to use alcohol to cope with it so then I didn't have to deal with it. And then as things got worse, my drinking got worse because I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with the bills coming in that I couldn't pay because I was using it on drugs and alcohol. I didn't want to deal with the way my marriage was going because it wasn't good. There was fighting and all of this other stuff that was going on. I didn't want to deal with it. And I didn't want to deal with my family who knew. They weren't stupid. They knew what was going on. And so in the midst of it, I was slowly killing myself through my drinking and my drugging. And for me, there were periods where I considered suicide, because I thought I had nothing. And it was in different moments that there was this glimmer, or this moment of clarity where I knew that I had to do something different. And my main message that I try to carry out to other people is it doesn't have to get that bad for everyone when you're struggling with things, right? And if you find yourself that you're drinking too much or trying to figure out if it is, it doesn't have to get where you're homeless, where you're living out of your car, where you have no money left, where you're breaking laws, trying to figure out how to get money, where your marriage goes in the toilet and you lose your job. I ended up losing my job, my dream job that I thought I wanted. And, it doesn't have to get that bad. And it's starting to look for tools and starting to find like all these resources that are out here for us, and knowing those people who are there to help connect us. And so what I want to do is share some pretty like quick little things for us to help break some of those cycles. Because what happens is, for me, I, would go about my day. I'd get up in the morning. I usually felt like crap because I drank way too much the night before. Into the morning, I would try to struggle myself through work. And then I would just start drinking again afterwards because I didn't want to deal with it. Right. And the tricky thing about alcohol too is that when you have your first drink, after you haven't drank for when you have your first drink, even though we all know, maybe we don't all know, but alcohol is a depressant. So if you do have any depression, anxiety, anything like that going on, when you mix alcohol into it, it can become this vicious cycle, right? So a lot of people are like, is it the egg or the chicken first? Is your drinking alcohol making you become more depressed, or is your depression making your drinking alcohol worse? And the thing is it's not necessarily looking at that. It's pulling yourself out far enough, or knowing people to help you pull yourself out to stop that cycle. Because when we get caught up in that whirlwind, it's hard to see through everything and hard to make that change. And so then when we think, well, alcohol is a depressant, and if I'm depressed, it's just going to keep bringing me down and down and down. Why would I keep doing it? Well, when you first have that first drink, it doesn't act as a depressant. It actually triggers your dopamine. So then you do feel like more social and more, thinking it's helping you have fun or help you relax at the end of the day. So it kind of tricks your body chemistry into doing, or not tricks it, but it does trigger your body chemistry into thinking all of these things for you. But the longer that you abuse alcohol, and mind you, alcohol abuse is having 3 drinks in a day. Like anything more than that more than 4 days a week is considered alcohol abuse. And so when you start doing that on a regular basis, then that dopamine thing is gone, but you're still stuck in that cycle. By that time, it's become a habit, and you think you need that alcohol to help you cope with all of those things. So really starting to try to figure out where you can draw out that drinking can help give you a more clear mind and more focus in trying to figure out what you could do, trying to figure out what things have happened for you in your past. And sometimes, I know Mark said this yesterday, we use alcohol to numb things out. And absolutely, like I used it to numb things out. I used to think I did it so I could socialize and party and gave me that confidence. And when I look back at it, of course I thought all that, because that's what I originally used it for, because I didn't have the self-confidence enough to do that on my own. Like I had knocked myself so far down over the years to do that. And, and it did start in my childhood. Right? My parents split up when I was really young, and it was a really crappy situation. And so I always had this thought that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough to get my dad to stay around. I wasn't good enough for this. I need to help out. I became this caretaker with my sibling, with my brother. and all of these things. So trying to take care of all of these things and trying to keep doing the best that I could at everything otherwise I thought it would all crumble and no one would love me. So when my self-confidence took a hit back then, it continued and got worse. So I go, I still struggle with it now, but today I have the tools in place to help me with that. A couple weeks ago, I'm sharing this because this also hits on a few things from yesterday too, is a couple weeks ago, I was having a conversation with my 5-year-old, and he is one of the happiest, energetic, amazing little kids that I know. And I'm not just saying that because he's my son. He truly is like full of energy. Everyone talks about how he smiles all the time. And we're just having a conversation. We're playing. And I'm like, hey, buddy, I love you. And he goes, I know you do, mommy, but I don't love myself. Holy crap. Talk about a knife in my mama heart. What is my kid going through? Like, how can he not love himself? Like, automatically my wheels start turning. I'm like, what's going on? Well, looking at things and looking at the messages that I'm putting down, not necessarily about him. We do affirmations every day. Actually, he calls me out on it when we don't. And he repeats them back. I give them to him. He repeats them back and all this stuff. And I realized that we had not been for a couple weeks. But that's not it. But it's also in the way that I have been treating myself, right? Like, I am this person who talks about taking care of yourself so that way you can better take care of others. And so that you are in a better state of mind to be able to do those things, and how important loving yourself is. And I realized over the last couple months, probably, I have not been so great about loving myself and taking care of myself. And I'm sure there have been conversations that I have had with it being either with friends or with my husband or whatever around that. And he's a pretty observant little kid. So I'm sure he picked up on some of that. So we have really just refocused and tried to do that. But I bring that up because it just goes to show you how early and how young we are when those things can really start to hit us. And then bringing that forward when we do have other things available to us to cope with those feelings, whether they're negative or positive. For me, I went to the alcohol and the drugs, right? And there are other things out there that people use to cope with those things, with these big feelings that we have. But there's more positive ways to cope with those. And some of those include, reaching out to people. Like, who are the people that you trust in your life? Are there close friends that you have? What are these circle of people that you are with? Are they people that are bringing you up or bringing you down? What are you tolerating in your life? Right? So I know that, like, for a while, I had people in my life that were not good for me. They were toxic for me, and so continued to bring me down. And when I did, which I never finished, I did have this moment of clarity in all the muck and all the mess and all of I think I was tired. And when I was tired of everything that was going on and where my life was, I was tired of living out of my car. I was tired of not knowing what was going to happen day after day. At 1:00 in the morning, I showed up at my parents' doorstep and told them I needed help. Now, I know how blessed and how lucky I am to have had parents there to be able to go to and to help support me no matter what I was going through. And I do not take that for granted, because not everybody has that. What is amazing is that there are resources and there are people out there like me and Kim and Joe and all these other people that are there to help support you if you are struggling with things. But I showed up, I told them I needed help, and we figured it out. I ended up going into treatment a few days later once they had a bed. But here's the thing, that dream job that I had told you I had lost, well, I had went and found a job at a daycare. So here I am, drug addict, alcoholic, and taking care of people's 2-year-olds. Poorly. And I was a terrible employee, terrible. And I went into there the next day telling them that I was going to have to take time off to go get help. And they informed me that I was going to lose my job. They were firing me that day. While I was there, a tow truck pulled up and repossessed my car. Now, for me, it wasn't just my car, but it was my home. Everything I owned, which wasn't much by this point, everything I owned was in there. So for someone who was in my situation, I firmly believe for me that there was a higher power involved in making sure I had that moment to be able to, I had that moment to be able to reach out for help before then. And to this day, I am grateful for that. However, let's get back to where we're, talking about our self-worth and what are some of these things that we can do. Finding those people that you can reach out to, who are the people that support you and who are there for you, and who, no matter what, if you opened up your dirty laundry to them, would continue to be there for you. Who are those people? And if there is only one or two, that's still incredible, because some people may not have anyone. And if you don't think you have anyone, look around at the people here at the summit, because there is somebody here to help support you. And, but what I had to do, especially when I first got sober and thought I was all alone, is I wrote down, and these are tools that I learned, and I still have them. I have people written down on a card. Now I have them saved in my phone for my starred calls or whatever, with people who I know, no matter what, I can call them like that. They will be there for me. They are the people to cheer me on. They are the people to call me out on my stuff. They are the two, and there's two of them. These are the two people that I can count on no matter what. And the same goes with me. That's the person I am today. Today, I'm this person who is reliable and is trustworthy and is the person that I want in the things that I want in other people. I am that to them. And that is, if you would have told me that, almost 18 years ago, that I would be the person I am today, I would have told you that you were crazy and that there's no way that would have happened. But over time, I've been sober now for nearly 18 years, come June. And, that hasn't been easy either. It's work, but knowing what I need to do, making sure that I do those things, reaching out to people when I'm struggling. One thing when I tell people, if you're just now, at the beginning part of maybe I am drinking a little bit more. Maybe I'm drinking more than my friends. Maybe that is my go-to when I'm stressed out. Maybe that is my first thought. The first thing I recommend to everybody is, if you find that you're starting to question it just a little bit in your head, it may be something worth looking at, right? Just something worth looking at a little bit for yourself. You don't have to tell everybody, but just look at it for yourself and take a few moments, or not a few moments, but take a couple weeks and observe for yourself. You don't have to act on anything, but just observe for yourself. How often in your day and in your evening do you have the thought of, I really need a drink. I want a drink. I'm going to go get a drink. Or you go to the fridge, or you go to the cabinet, or you go to the store to go get alcohol. How many times is that coming up for you? But then take it one step further. When that thought comes up for you, or that action around drinking comes up for you, stop and figure out, well, what happened right before that? Were the kids fighting and I got really frustrated? I thought, oh God, I just need a drink to deal with that. Or did you find out that you got a promotion at your job, which is really great news, but was your thought, oh gosh, I need a drink for that? And so finding a way to break that for yourself. So when you start to observe when those moments come up for you, it's like, oh, that's what it is. So it's starting to learn what some of your triggers are for you on the surface, right? On that level. So that way you can start to figure out what is more going on for you. And then, so just take a moment to stop. And then, if you take that moment to stop and kind of look at it and be like, oh, what's going on? And sometimes it's as simple as replacing it with taking a deep breath and choosing something else to do. Getting up and moving, going for a walk sometimes helps. Dancing is another thing. It's like being able to do that. And I'm not saying like, usually there's deeper work and things that we need to do, but sometimes in that moment, in that one moment of making a choice, whether or not to pick up a drink or do something else that's better for us, doing something that takes 20 seconds is enough to change things for you to make those different choices. And then as you continue to do it, you will continue to make different choices for yourself. And then you start to feel more confident in those things. You start to feel more confident in yourself. And then you can start loving yourself better. The other thing too is in changing that, right? Like, I am loved, I am loving, I am beautiful. So all of these positive things that we say about ourselves are incredible tools to use too. Like I put, for me, it's I love myself is the biggest thing that I have challenged with. And the other one is I am beautiful. And so I have them written on Post-it notes and I have them on my mirror. In my bathroom, because at least 2 times a day, I'm in front of that mirror, brushing my teeth in the morning and the night, or getting ready or whatever. So I know at least 2 times a day I am looking at them. And I take a few moments every day to, at those times, to stop like what I'm doing, take a deep breath, actually look at myself in the mirror, in my eyes. And this was one of the most difficult things for me to do when I started doing this. Because I realized how many years I looked in the mirror and I did my hair, put my makeup on and that, but I never truly took the time to look at myself unless I was looking at myself in the mirror saying, look at this double chin, or hey, look at how fat you are, Martha. Like all of these terrible, terrible messages I was telling myself. Then I would look at me and then I would stop because I didn't want to look at that. But I was not taking those times to look in the mirror and love on myself. And gosh, how terrible is it? I was treating everybody else around me when I was healthy so much better than I was ever treating myself. Right? I loved everybody. I want to take care of everybody, but taking care of me, which I told you I have struggled with over the last few months with. Taking care of me, when it does not become a priority, means I am slowly not loving myself. And so it's making sure that I am diligent in keeping up with those tools. Because when I keep up with those things of looking in the mirror, looking at myself in the eyes and say, I love you, Martha. I love you. And you are beautiful. I am beautiful. Because I am are 2 of the most powerful words in the English language. And saying those to ourselves. And then when I have those thoughts, and believe me, they come across a lot in a day. You make a mistake, I make a mistake, and I'm like, gosh, how could you be so stupid? How could you do that? And instead of like riding that boat all the way into, of course you're stupid. Gosh, you should have known that. Now I tell myself, stop. You are not stupid. Like I stop the thought. I will sometimes say out loud to myself, and I use the sign, stop. And I switch it. I am smart. I made a mistake. And that's it. and then I can move on. It's like working into that subconscious mind of what is actually going on for myself and what is going on for you. So my biggest thing for you is things when you are struggling, there are so many more positive and healthy choices to make rather than picking up that drink, rather than continuing that cycle. And if you are questioning your drinking and gosh, maybe I am drinking too much, or I realize that I am drinking more, or especially over this last year that we've had when there's been a lot of alone time and a lot of time for us, to be with ourselves and not so much of that social interaction and that, reach out to me, let me know, because sometimes when we can stop ourselves from spiraling, stop ourselves from twisting in that cycle, we can really, really make such a difference in ourselves. So if you are ready to, start taking control of what's going on for yourself and finding a different way, then I am happy for have you reach out to me. Or if you have questions or anything or want to learn more tools and stuff, I am happy to share whatever I have. So I would look forward to hearing from all of you.